time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senator Jason York.
All I can think of, Yorkie, as I welcome everybody to the show, is the Will Ferrell, we're going streaking down the street in old school.
Which Sens player is playing the part of Frank the Tank?
Oh, it's got to be Giroux.
What? It's Giroux's Frank? Come on, it's Brady. It's Brady's.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm thinking of who's the old guy?
Blue?
Blue. You're my boy, Blue.
Blue.
Way off
Blue.
track already.
Blue's the token nickname back when old school was popular. Whoever was the oldest guy on the team that you're on got the nickname Blue. Hey, Blue. I think I got called Blue my last year in the NHL when I was playing in Boston. Call me Blue.
So let's go with Perron, Hamonic, or Giroux. Trying to think.
For Blue?
Who would be your,
I'd probably go with Hammer Time. Give him Blue. Hey, old Blue. But he's not that old. He just looks old.
If you took his, I thought that last night. If you took his mustache off, he'd look probably 10 years younger.
Yeah, and he's got the no teeth in during the game. Yeah. And again, once again, old Hammer taking all kinds of heat last night. They win again. With Hammer in the lineup. It's like I said, we need to do a deep dive into this. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. This team just wins when Hamonic's in the lineup. But there'll be some tough questions. I know I don't want to get into this now, but when Jensen comes back, Wally, it's gonna be some tough decisions for Travis Green and the coaching staff.
I'm not sure it is. I think Matt and Paolo just comes out.
What, really? Your boy?
Well, you just went from saying Travis Hamonic is the elixir to all their problems and solves the D, and now you seem shocked that I would say he stays in.
You're like you are a politician. You took whatever you wanted from what I said. Actually, you know what? Can't believe we're getting into this right now.
I know I haven't even welcomed anybody to the show yet.
I know. Just watching Matt and Paolo. I almost butchered his name too, like I butchered Mariliven or orbital bone. The only thing I'll say, but I think Matt and Paolo's playing really well. Boy, he's kind of just what this team needed, right? Big, reliable, stay at home. Now he's jumping up in the play all the time. But if you track his minutes from all his games, and I went back and I looked at all his ice time for all his game. Excuse me. It's not that he's playing sheltered minutes. It's just he's usually around 12 to 15, more around the 13, 14. Like I think he was just 12 and change last night. So it's not a big amount he's playing. But it is, I say this all the time, playing those kinds of minutes in the NHL, Wally, in some cases is actually tougher. And people will say, well, it's sheltered minutes and he's not playing in certain situations. No, it's tougher to play when you don't go out all the time and you're not in the flow of the game. There's an art form to it, Wally. I couldn't do it well. I did it, but it's very tough. And that's why when Tyler Clevin, when his minutes got boosted to 22 or 20, you're like, wow, is he ever playing? Like he was playing good, but now he's playing really good. It's because all these guys before they got to the NHL, wherever they were playing the whole game. That's why they're here, because they thrive in those situations. And it's because of numbers, because of circumstances, you're put into a certain role, and then you do the best of what you can with that. But when you get elevated, most times, especially defensemen, Wally, they play really well. So it's going to be a tough decision. But you know what? It's going to work itself out. I'll guarantee you, by the time Jensen gets back, somebody else will be hurt. Like, this is the way this game goes. It always goes this way. So it's a good problem to have right now when you have to make a decision. But it won't be as easy as everybody thinks, because Matt and Paolo's played really well.
Well, you could argue both sides, and there wouldn't be a losing side, right? Like,
they
you can
have
easily argue Matt and Paolo being in the lineup for sure. I just think, like you said, Travis Hamonic.
the
just-
hate hammer club wants him out though. They want him
without question. Without question. I get it. I understand. But I think if you take the whole game and break it down, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. You can take one and say, well, there's the goal, right? If I'm not mistaken, he has the shot blocked at the point and starts a 2-on-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, it's the role he's playing in right now is he's playing more than Matt and Paolo, right? So when you're on the ice more, you're by the percentages, you're probably going to make a few more mistakes. You're going to make a few more mistakes, but then people, why doesn't Sanderson make those mistakes? Because he's really good.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
It's a big difference. So, yeah, like I said, it's a good problem to have. But the main thing is, like, we just spent, I don't know, 5 minutes on who's going to come in into the lineup. But the team's winning right now. Like this is
it doesn't matter who's
like we should. This
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter exactly.
Okay, by the way, this show probably presented to you by Bet365. Open an account today with Bet365. Okay, so we got a gazillion things to talk about. By the way, in about 10 minutes, Carter Hutton, NHL analyst, goaltending expert, and former Linus Ullmark teammate will join us. So do you want to get through Ryan Hartman right now?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. He gets 10 games, over $400,000 in fine. People are all excited about what he said in his defense. Well, what else is he going to say? You have to defend yourself somehow. It's just a defense. It doesn't
what
mean
he say? I didn't hear it. What did he say?
That he was falling and he basically just used Tim Stützle as a brace. His face was all I could use at the time. I'm sorry.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
So that's just called trying to say whatever at that moment. But 10 games, which is the longest since Tom Wilson, as far as I can tell, for an on-ice incident, the longest since Tom Wilson was given 20 games back in 2017, 2018 for his high stick, if you will, on illegal. Yeah, high stick, I think it was called, for Oscar Sundqvist. It was later reduced to 14 games. So it's a significant penalty, Yorkie. Like, while we can argue 10 games is not enough and he should have got 20, 10 games in the realm of what they have done in suspensions is huge. Mm-hmm. It's a message.
Well, I believe this is exactly what we talked about yesterday, and we laid it out why he was going to get double digits. So I'm not surprised. Like, if this is the perfect opportunity for the NHL to send flare guns off. Warning. If anybody does stupid shit like this, you're going to lose. Could be more because a lot of guys make a lot more than Hartman does. But hey, $500,000 roughly, give or take. I don't care how much money you have. $500,000 is a lot of money, and players and you need to make $1 million to get $500,000. You're getting taxed half. So think of it that way too. That's going to leave a mark, and players are going to take notice, and they're going to think twice before they do something stupid on the ice. It's the only way. Fighting isn't going to change if somebody does something like that. It's right here in the pocketbook, Wally. That's where you got to get guys and suspend guys. Like I said yesterday, this is how they got those really egregious late hits, like the one that ended Mark Savard's career, like the ones you used to see. Who was it? Dean McCammon that got blown up coming around the net that one time. So like I remember when I played, like before they, before you actually had to like look out for your own well-being. Like, one of my biggest injuries, I was skating up the ice, and when you go to dump the puck in, and you know who it was? It was Sheldon Keith, the fucking rat. Yeah. Just as I was in the motion of taking a slap shot, dumping in the most vulnerable position, he runs me from behind head first into the boards. Today's game, that would be probably 10 games. Back then it wasn't, but I put myself in a bad spot at times, so it was on me. But today it's different, right? The rules are different. But the point is, guys, now, before you do something stupid, I don't want to lose $500,000 or $1 million or whatever your games are going to be. So I like it. Actually, I think I said 10 games. Well, I said it's going to go I said it's going to go double digits. It has to. It's the only way to stop guys from doing dumb things.
Yeah, I'm just shocked because I don't think the NHL ever does what we think they're supposed to do. So I said 8.
Yeah.
I'll give you your 10.
Yeah. Well, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm not surprised. I guess I am surprised because they've been going on the they've been weighing on the side of not giving enough, right?
Yeah.
But then they go and suspend Connor McDavid. I'm like, okay, that's weird. You're going to suspend Connor McDavid for? I know he did
cross-check the guy in the face.
Yeah, I know, but not. Yeah, I guess, and I don't mind it, but this is just a totally different set of circumstances, though, because McDavid wasn't trying to hide it. It's the sneaky plays, Wally. Put it when a guy's in a vulnerable position and you make a decision to do damage, or when you're disguising punching a guy into the ice, things like that. That's the stuff. That's the stuff. And I said this yesterday. Guys don't want to play against players who do things like that. They don't. Your career is short. You have a certain amount of time, and plays like that can end your career. And guys don't want to play against guys like that. So I bet you guys are happy.
Okay, so there's a question in the chat. We're gonna get going here. I'm way behind. Aaron McAllister didn't like the hit on Ridley Gregg at the end in the empty netter. Said it shouldn't be allowed in the game either. Straight up dangerous. I think it's a completely legal play. He's hip checked. Like, you are still trying to score into a net. You're allowed to stop them. And I don't think there was anything dirty to it.
I don't even remember the play, so that tells you what.
Ridley Gregg is I think it's
Roman. No, I know the play, but I didn't see anything.
Checks him into the net. Like I
didn't see anything.
Does it look ugly? Sure, because the post is there. But if there's a goalie there, that play doesn't have.
You got to understand. You got to understand too, when you're playing at this level, and a guy's trying to score, and the game is on the line. You're trying everything you possibly can to stop this player. Like, there's nothing malicious. Yep. There's nothing sneaky. You're not hiding anything. You're just playing really hard. So for me, I don't see anything there.
I do love the Ridley Gregg adventurous empty net goals. I hope it's a career thing for him. Like, if he could just somehow turning into like the slam dunk competition of empty net goals, I'm all for it.
See, I disagree. I think you got to save. I think you got to save your big moments because, you do it all the time. It's like, fuck, this is stupid. Save your big moments. You get a ton of Leaf fans in your building. Save it for when it matters.
Do it all the time.
No. Okay. It's like you pull it out. You pull it out when you need it. Not all the time.
Got to get moving here. This show proudly presented to you by Charm Diamond Centers. More than 85 locations across country through Charm and their sister brands. Canadian owned and operated since 1972. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with a Charm Masterpiece program and an unbeatable pricing policy. Check out a large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds and mine diamonds. And apply for the Charm Diamond Flexity card today. Get approved with no interest financing on your purchase in minutes. Go to charmdiamondcenters.com. Also, by our good friends who now are serving up tons of extra pizza today. Gabriel Pizza, the official pizza of the Ottawa Senators, and coming in hot. It is a huge week for Gabriel Pizza. They got all kinds of deals going on leading up to the Super Bowl. Just don't forget to download the Gabriel Pizza Perks, the app, and then start to collect points. Earn points with every purchase on the app and get access to exclusive deals with Gabriel Pizza Perks. So if not, go to GabrielPizza.com and you can check out their entire menu there. Send score 4. You score a lot of pizza. You get 40% off any 9-inch pizza the next day starting at 11 a.m. And don't forget, as Jake just had it up, the Super Bowl deals this week. If you need your party taken care of at any time this week, check them out. Go to the menu and see all the different deals they've got going on. Gabriel Pizza, the best pizza in the city. Not even a question mark. And plus, they're also in Nova Scotia these days if you happen to be down in Antigonish. All right. Without further ado, if I'm not mistaken, we have Carter Hutton, who's currently back from his lovely trip where he got a suntan and a Speedo tan line.
Yeah, you know me too well, Wally. That's for sure.
How are you, sir? How was your trip?
It was really good. It was a lot of fun. We had seven couples here from, well, 6 of us from Thunder Bay. Another one, good friend, lives in Texas. He's a professor at the University of Texas. So he didn't stop pucks for a living. He's the smartest one out of our group. So he met us down there. We had 13 kids. All the wives got along. It was a blast. So I got a tan and my liver is finally not mad at me here for a little bit.
13 kids. Now I know why your liver was working overtime.
Carter, was it like one of those beaches spots where you do the all-inclusive stuff and the kids just have free reign?
Yeah, we stayed at a place called Planet Hollywood. Someone had booked it, but it had like mini putts and a kids club and trampoline. And honestly, you know what? My daughter was so easy. They just swim. My boy he's a boy, true. Like he play catch. Let's play soccer. Let's play mini putt. One day I was on the mini putt for 3 hours, I think, because he wanted to make sure he could get a hole in one on every hole. So he would putt it and I would just stand by the hole and roll it back and roll it back and roll it. I guess that's what I was like as a kid. So I'm getting it full circle here.
That's awesome.
Good stuff. Oh, it's good to see you. Lots to talk about. I know there was only one game, but it's the only game that matters when we're concerned. First of all, your reaction to Ryan Hartman. You played the game. You've seen lots of stuff. Ryan Hartman getting 10 games for the hit on Tim Stützle.
Yeah, I love the suspension. Honestly, I think there's no place in our game for this. This is something I heard you guys, I had you on earlier as I was getting ready, and his statement that he made that he would just use Stützle as a kickstand there, I guess, on his way down, which just sounds like the biggest BS statement I've ever heard. So, I guess for a guy that plays on the edge, you know what I mean? It's a lot of money and it's a message. I think that there's no place in this game for this, right? And it's one thing I was on yesterday morning on Morning Cup of Hockey talking about this. I guess maybe there's the fact of the matter. We look at like the Ryan Reeves hit on Darnell Nurse, the different hits, Nason the other night on Tage Thompson. These are high speed hits, right? These are things that happen at full tilt. And I get it, right? The game is so fast. And I feel like sometimes we're a Monday morning quarterback where we sit and we watch these plays, but this is one with intent to injure. Like there's no place in the game for me for this play, especially as an ex-player. And then as someone now as a father with the kids at play, I don't want my kids watching this and thinking this is an acceptable play, right? So I love that they dropped the hammer. And Hartman's a guy that always walks the line. And I understand that he needs to play that way, but I feel like this is a no-nonsense play, and it just can't happen in our game.
Do you know what, Carter, and Wally and I were kind of breaking it down before. The thing I didn't like about it, it's when you do something sneaky and you're trying to hide it. He didn't do a good job of hiding it. Yeah. But I agree. Like Reeves, he's not hiding what he's trying to do. He's trying to hit you, and he's trying to hit you really hard. I still blame part of that on Nurse. I do. For putting them, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, I just being a player, and you know this, guys don't want guys like that running around doing stupid things, especially like that could have went really bad. Like you don't want. To me, it's reckless.
That's a play where Stützle could break his neck or something. You never know what's going to happen. And again, like, not that Ryan Reeves hit was any better, but like body contact is part of our game. That isn't part of our game. Like the difference of missing a guy's shoulder and just at full speed and hitting him in the chin, it's the room for error is so small. And this is a player I think is so controllable. So I'm glad that they came down hard. Obviously, he's going to feel in his bank account. That is a lot of money. And for a guy that, who's on a very generous contract for the style of player he is, this one's going to sting. And I think it sends a message to the league.
Let's move on. Linus Ullmark is returning to the net tonight since being out December 22nd at Edmonton, where he left with a back injury. You played the game. Coming back after that kind of layoff on the road, facing a pretty good offensively talented team. What's the challenge for Linus Ullmark? Or is there one? Is it just you're back in the net? Let's go.
No, there is a bit of a challenge, right? I think getting to game speed and something that I dealt with a lot, right? I think having injuries and then being a guy that, as you went on early in my career where you wouldn't play for 2 weeks, right? Especially early when Pekka Rinne played a ton of games, you wouldn't get starts, but it's always a little different coming back from injury. And I think for Linus, the biggest thing he can weigh on here is like, he's going to be ready. And I think he's been through different situations now. Again, this is when we start to look back on our experience as goalies and things we can draw upon. He's not a young guy anymore. He's been through this situation. And I think what's really good now is you have a confident hockey team, right? They found a way to keep winning without Linus Ullmark, where I think that was a big question mark going into this. First, it was that road trip, right? It was the road trip after the World Juniors. This was going to be the stamp on the Ottawa Senators season, right? How can they manage this road trip? And they go out there and they do well, and then they lose their star starting goalie that just signed a huge contract. And again, now it's like another hurdle to get over. And I think for Linus, seeing this team gain confidence and being able to win with that, I think is important for him. And I think important for everyone. And Linus isn't far removed from not being the guy, right? He was a 50-50 guy, right? So I think for him coming back into this situation is just kind of controlling what you can control, which is tricky at times, right? But I think with experience and maturity is where Linus is really going to thrive in this situation. And I think there might be a few bumps in the road for him, but the biggest thing I always found after a setback or an injury, your conditioning is like almost even better because you've had more time on the bike. You've had more time skating. You've had more time training, where sometimes you're just playing games and you kind of get in a lull where your overall fitness in the gym starts to drop. But I always found it was like a refresher. And same thing with like the Four Nations Cup coming up. He's going to have a time for a short little stint here and then maybe get a chance to play here in there. And I think get his game going to where it needs to be.
Hey, Hutz, I was dead against it before, saying, oh, he shouldn't go. He's going to get hurt. But I only thought he was going to be out a couple of weeks. But now he's been out so long. Like, where do you, obviously, I think you're for him going, but not having played in a long time and being in that, is it the same for goalies, like that game shape? Because he's going to just get back in the swing of things. And then if he doesn't play, he's going to have 2 weeks off. So I actually think it's a good idea. He goes and plays now and just practices at that level and gets himself back in a game shape.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing at all by any means, especially a short little tournament like this. I think it's going to be worse on players because when the physicality comes into play, right? You talk about guys getting leaned on and like next thing you know, you got a matchup and it's Canada, Sweden in the final. You think these guys are going to take it easy on the decor or whatever's going on. So as a goalie, I think you're still just managing your position and managing the reps where, again, now circling back to experience and maturity, he's just going to manage the way that what he puts into practice, what he puts into off the ice. And I think that's what comes with, obviously building the rapport to have the contract and where you're at. When you're a younger guy, like I remember being a younger guy, I never took a optional skate off. I stayed out late. I did whatever. And that also made me better. But I think now Linus is at a point in his career where he knows what he needs as well, right? So I think that's where managing the other side of the game reps are super valuable for a guy who just missed that chunk of time.
Yeah.
Carter, why are the Ottawa Senators the best team in hockey right now, in your opinion?
I think they're just like, it's a little mix. That's a bold statement, but I like it. I honestly think right now, truthfully, Wally, like the fact of the matter is like, this is a team that was fragile, right? I think we talk about early on, they didn't have a lot of confidence. We know that they can score. We know that they can play. I think defending and keeping the puck out of their net was this big, black cloud that hung over them coming into the season. And now you look at it, they lose Linus Ullmark. I think maybe losing Linus Ullmark might have been one of the most positive things that's happened for this team. They've gone in now and they've had guys come in. They've come in and played very well for them. Forsberg's been good. And I just think the fact of the matter is now you start to gain confidence knowing you're going to get saves, right? I think you look back to last season, how Korpisalo struggled as much as he did, right? Where you lose confidence, right? And I've been on good teams that like when you're not getting saves, you realize how valuable goaltending is and timely saves. And I think the biggest thing for this team moving forward now is getting Linus back and having guys knowing who's ever in net that they're a good enough team to win, right? And I even look at last night, I thought that game was there wasn't a lot going on early. And then obviously the Preds get a big goal, right? And felt like, what's the response going to be? And they actually made a quote on the broadcast last night, right before Gaudette scored, about how the Preds were just like not giving them anything, right? And literally right as he said it, they go in and they get a goal. And then from there, it just started to open up and they started to churn. And you can feel that because even though Nashville isn't a great team, it's a tough building to go into play. And especially after a big road trip or a big stand at home and you win that home game against Minnesota at home, you get Sunday off, you're going to travel. Like that game sets up as a trap game well, in my opinion, going to Nashville. I think they did a great job last night.
Massive steak dinner night before, a couple glasses of wine, and you get to, and you're like, okay, here we go again. And it's usually, there usually is a lull. But I wanted to ask you about Forsberg. How do you explain what he's doing? Great start to the season, and Ullmark a little bit of a slow start, and then Forsberg goes for a stretch where he's not playing so well, and then just before the stretch he's been on right now, people in Ottawa are like, there was talk of waiving this guy, getting rid of him. Marilainen's the guy, and here he is again, back against the wall. And what does he do? He's playing some of his best hockey of his career. Like, how do you explain that?
I think just a guy that's been in the grind before, right? Like this isn't a guy that's never been a silver spooner. I guess maybe someone similar to myself, right? It's not like this is anywhere like uncharted territory for him, right? Where you look at some goalies, maybe like a Tristan Jarry who's struggled with this. He's been kind of anointed the guy, right? He's been the guy in Pittsburgh. Then when the struggles come on, it's like, where do I go from here? How do I re-evolve myself? Where like, I feel like a guy like Anton Forsberg, he's bounced around enough. He's been through different organizations. You just like hit the reset button and go back to work, right? Like you look at yourself in the mirror and you find a way to do that where you don't feel sorry for yourself. And I think that's something that's important for guys who have taken that path versus like the guys that are first rounders, silver spooners. And they get, and nothing against those guys either, but I feel like there is more of like that. You build up a little more just grit in your game. And I think for him getting the opportunity where he's at, and nothing against Levi, I think Levi's been unbelievable for a young guy, but with Ullmark coming back, in my opinion, I think Forsberg is still the guy you want to have in that slot, right? Maybe if it goes south where he's getting starts and you start to can't trust him again, maybe Levi comes back in the mix, but he's the guy of the future. I think you want to keep playing him in the minors and get him a ton of games, a big bulk of work where, you know, Linus is ready to carry the mail. And for Forsberg, I think now in that role, knowing that he can play whatever the situation is, I think is a confident thing for him and for this hockey team moving forward.
This is another leading question. That's the only way I know how to do them. Is would you want to face Ottawa? And I can, Washington's probably on a different level. Would you want to face Ottawa right now going into the playoffs?
I don't think so. I think because there's the factor of like expectations versus how good this team is too, right? Where, you know, guys are freewheeling, guys don't have a lot of pressure where, you know, you go and you play a team like Toronto now, there's so much more expectation, there's so much more pressure, and that brings a different element where I think a younger team like this that is playing in the right direction is a dangerous hockey team, right? And I think you have a lot of guys that don't have that experience, you know, in the playoffs, which I think sometimes almost is like it's valuable to have experience, but then there's also that beauty of like ignorance to the situation that they're in, right? And I think there's value with that Ottawa Senators team. And then you look at some of their leaders, right? You're talking about Brady Tkachuk. You're telling me you want to face that guy in a 7-game series, what he's going to bring to the table and the skill, along with the potential of arguably one of the better goalies in the league. You know, if he's healthy, playing well, I think Ottawa becomes a very dangerous team come playoff time.
Quickly on Jake Sanderson. Actually, I want to ask you about Travis Hamonic because Travis Hamonic gets a ton of attention. I'll put it to you that way. What do you watch his game? Are you able to comment on what you see in Travis Hamonic's game, good or bad?
Like, I don't think it's a mix, right? I guess he's one of those guys. I always say this about players, like, there's a reason why you bounce around a bunch, right? We talk a lot. I do a lot of Leaf stuff too, as well. And we talk about Max Domi's a constant topic, right? Because there's times where he brings so much to the table. And I think Hamonic's a very similar player where there's times you like love his game and there's times he leaves you wanting more, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why these guys haven't settled in one place, right? There's holes in their game. There's things that they bring to the table. And I think a lot of teams see the upside in them. They bring them in thinking that they can, you know, continually do that all the time. And I think for Hamonic is just trying to find some more consistency in his game, right? Especially on the back end where to be more predictable in his game and simplify it. But that being said, there's a reason why he's bounced around as much as he has, Brent.
Fair enough. Jake Sanderson, is he as good as we all say he is?
I think he is, especially offensively. He is something to watch. And I did my first ever fantasy pool this year with my buddies, which I have no clue what I was doing. You know, you'd think I would know a little more about fantasy, but I took Sanderson and he's been, I've been reaping the rewards of that. He's fun to watch. Even last night, that little patience to when that Nashville defender kind of comes up on him at the blue line, most guys ditch that puck, right? Or they make a play. To have that poise to hold on to that puck and get that through to the net to score there is an impressive play. And I think to the common eye watching that play, it's just like, well, it's just a shot from the point. It's just like a floater that gets through. But the poise on the blue line by Sanderson there and what he brings to this team is so impressive. And again, he's still a young guy, right? He's only going to get better. And we see that all the time, right? You guys understand that, like, most guys on the back end, you need some grooming. You need some experience. If there's two positions in the league that I would say, goalie between your ears and defenseman experience, you just need more time to kind of marinate. He's only going to get better. It's pretty impressive to watch so far.
Hut's that forward who went out to block on that goal that Sanderson scored was probably shocked. He's like, what the fuck did this guy just, like, that little pivot, that last pivot he did when he went sideways and he pulled it backwards, most D would fall down trying to do that move. Like, it's way harder than it looks. And he basically walked that puck half the distance from the half wall to the middle of the ice. It was unbelievable. I agree, Huts. That's, you know what, he's just getting better and better. So I really think this, Huts. I think down the road, this guy's got the potential to be a Norris Trophy winner.
I do too. And I think, again, like we talked about, like, I think as you gain more confidence and more experience and you start to figure out the league, right? And you start to figure out yourself. And I always talk about, like, younger guys. Sometimes you play an emotion, right? Like, you're so excited to come in and play. And I lean more toward goalies, but then you learn how to be an NHLer. You learn how to grind. You learn the travel. You learn what you need. And you start to, like, develop more and more, right? These guys come in as such stars. And I think this is where you're really going to see the upside in him as he starts to mature here. And again, like, now you're looking at a kid that's going to get to play a ton of meaningful games down the stretch here. They're in these important games. And then you just get better and better from that experience, right? So it's been a lot of fun to watch. And I think his game is just going to keep growing especially under the way this Ottawa Senators team's played.
I know you got to go. Last question I have for you is, who do you pick tonight in the Tampa-Ottawa game with Linus Ullmark returning to action in Ottawa, now having gone back-to-back in Tampa?
Yeah. This is a tough one. I want to lean on the, my Linus Ullmark guy, right? I'm a big fan. You guys know that. I'm a big supporter. And so I'm going to stick with Ottawa here to stay hot here. I think Tampa is in that. I think it's weird looking at it now, right? You look at the standings, and I feel like for the longest time as I analyzed this, and I was like, it's kind of going to be a race for that 8th spot. Then all of a sudden, everything just, like, twisted over. We got Columbus in the mix, right? Ottawa sitting where they're sitting, right? Playing as well. They got the standings up now. So it's funny. The fact of the matter is, like, where Tampa and Boston are, right? I think, I don't think anyone was ready for this. I don't think anyone really saw Washington doing what they're doing. And especially now, Ottawa was a team I truly thought, I think you could probably go back and quote me. I know you guys record this. I think I said that I thought Ottawa would be in the mix this year. I didn't think 3rd in the Atlantic, but I'm going to take them tonight. I think this is a good game for Linus to get in, and you're going to get shots. You're going to be busy, and I think it's a good chance for him to make a few timely saves. And I think that's what I've noticed as of late, especially for Forsberg's games, where, like, that Washington game where they won in overtime, he made a save late. I don't know exactly who was on. There's a turnover. He made a big blocker save late in the game. And he made a breakaway save last night, another big stop on the penalty kill, where this is, like, it's not necessarily how many saves you make at times. It's like when you make them, right? And that, I feel like, gives confidence to your team. And I think that's what Linus can do here tonight in Tampa.
I look forward to it. Carter, we appreciate your time. You can catch him doing starting goalies, always on Daily Faceoff as well. Thank you for taking the time. Nice to see you back.
Hey, no problem. You didn't give me a choice anyway. You said I had to come on, so I was coming either way.
I sent him a text like, "Hey, I hate bothering you." He's like, "Don't ever feel bad. You're always bothering me." So,
he's got that effect on it. He's got that effect on people, Huts. Thanks for coming on, eh?
Hey, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me as always.
See you, pal.
Yeah.
Carter Hutton. He's just, again, so good. I meant to tell him Josh versus Harrison, I think, just said you got to have him back on more. He's so good. So
he's great. He's good. He's good. He knows his shit. The thing, it's like players, right? Like the best players, the top guys that played, they usually, like, they see the game a different way. They don't see it in the everyday guy's eyes, because Carter had the battle. I love how he doesn't like high draft picks either. He's like me. Those guys are giving everything. They gotta, it's the guys that got a battle, that are in the grind all the time. But that's what the majority of the league is made up of, Wally. Guys that have grinding, get there. Like, there's very few guys that just generational players, right? The league is made up of a lot of really good players, but a lot of guys are grinding every day to get there, stay there. So, no, I like how he sees the game. But hey, by the way, I told you Forsberg was going to start last night.
I know. It's really getting annoying sometimes where you
don't want to, no props. Eh? I like it.
Yeah, someone brought it up in the chat, and I quickly shut them down. In fact, I almost was going to block them just so you didn't see it. You were right on picking Ottawa, and you were right on the suspension, and you were right on Forsberg.
And by the way, you're not changing your pick. You picked Nashville. No. Gertie's now in the mix. We get the dog head up, get Gertie's symbol up. Gertie's 1-0.
Just hang on. We'll get to that. We'll explain all that in a second.
All right.
Before we get to that, new sponsor alert as we welcome a proud partner to the show, Club EG. ClubEG.golf is where you want to go. So look, it's basically, this is a great opportunity if you're a golfer in the area. They are access to 60 of some of the top courses in the area, and you just you get a membership with Club EG, and then you get membership prices at these golf courses. And if you go right now to clubeg.golf, they've got February sales going on. They run amazing events throughout the year. I'm sure you've seen, like, the Ottawa Sun Scramble, the Ottawa Citizen Golf Championship, the Commissionaires Open, the EPGA Tour, America's event at Eagle Creek that Claude Giroux participated in. They literally catered every golfer out there, and they've been very good to us. So they are going to, or they've given us, I think it's 12. I got to double check. Complimentary foursome still. We got the Marshes in there. We got Equinel, the Sorcier, Hammond. I'm going to forget some of them. Amazing golf course.
The Chateau Montebello's in there, Wally. Have you ever played Montebello?
No, I haven't.
Beautiful track, hilly, and you can go there, have dinner after. You could take Lisa there, have a romantic evening. Maybe push the single beds together for the night. Hey, it'd be good.
I don't know. Got to be rested to play golf.
Anyways, Greensmere's up there. I was
amazing.
A lot of good Equinel. I love Equinel, by the way, just in Kempville. Great track.
Yeah, I've played it a couple of times. It's beautiful. Like the Marshes. Anyway, there's check them out. If you go, you can see the list of all the golf courses. There's just too many to list, and some maybe in your area closer to you, like they Renfrew, and anyway, they're all over the place. Clubeg.golf. We just want to welcome them in, hoping to have them for a while as throughout the summers we give away golf passes.
I'm on Golf Countdown, by the way. We are February. What's today? It is February 4th. So we've got 24 days left in this month. Then we just got to get through March, get through, sometimes, a lot of golf opens up here in mid-April. So we're not that far away, Wally, from getting the sticks out again.
Are you taking me? Are we going to play this year together?
We did. We went to Rideau-View, remember? Yeah, that great
fully
day.
were. We do want to do that again if we were
great track. But no, we'll go. I'll take you out, Wally. We'll get, I'm going to work on you. We're going to do some personal work with you this summer. Get you up to speed. Get your best foot forward to get into the good guy club. I'll mentor you.
Okay, because just so we're clear, like when I say you're gonna pay for it, is what I'm trying to get at.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
We're making the big bucks on the show now. What's dropping the bucket, Wally?
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's get back to the game last night. A 5-2 victory, giving Ottawa now 5 straight wins. I started to do some math, looking things up. Yorkie, they've now won 5 in a row for twice this season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They haven't won in the last 7 years. I think it goes back to 2017-18. They've only won 5 in a row twice over that span.
Sounds about right, because they haven't been very good.
No, and then you got to go back to the Hamburglar run for them to have won 6 in a row, and so they have a chance tonight to win 6 in a row, twice in a season for the first time since March 2015, during the Hamburglar run. Crazy.
Someone sent me a tweet. Oh, it was my good buddy Jameson. Works at the Cheshire Cat. Loves the Sens. He's actually my old neighbor. Lived across the street from me.
Oh, yeah?
Great guy. Jameson sent something out that makes a lot of sense. He just says, is it easier now to bring guys in and out of the lineup? Because you see guys have success, right? Young guys get called up now. You plug guys in. Like look, Highmore, for example. Highmore comes in. He's playing really well. Montepallo comes in. Plays well. Ostapchuk. And the point he was making was, is it because of the system, how they play, expectations? I said this maybe about 3 or 4 shows ago, Wally. They've now have a culture of what is expected when you're in the lineup, of what is being an Ottawa Senator. What does it entail? How do you have to play? There's a word coaches use all the time, and I'm sure Greener uses. It's called a non-negotiable. They have non-negotiables, which are you have to back pressure like your life depends on it. You have to make good decisions with the puck at the lines. You have to play high percentage hockey. Remember how bad this team was at blocking shots before? Like, guys used to get out of the way. Now everybody's in the shooting lane. Guys are blocking. Guys are collapsing to the house. Puck battles on the wall. How many times did this team in years past turn pucks over inside their own blue line? They're battling you like their life depends on it to get the puck out of the zone. Those are all non-negotiables that if you don't have them, being ready on a face-off, if you don't have those things, you're not going to win. And this team does those little things now. And now when guys get put into the situation, There's an expectation of how you
Yes.
have to play. And that expectation, it starts with your leadership group, trickles down to the rest of the team. And that's why when they brought in guys like a David Perron, like a Nick
Jensen.
Cousins, and just Jensen. Remember we had Steve Stais on, and he just talked about Jensen's work habits when he comes to the rink, what he does, the example he sets. Not a huge talker, but it's how he goes about his business. Because when you bring young guys in, they're watching the young guys. How hard does this guy practice? Because I played on teams where guys don't practice that hard. So what do you think the young guys are going to do? Like, they're going to do what the old guys do. And that's how your culture, that's how it starts. That's how you win. And I just think they've done a really nice job of creating that. Starts with the coaches into leadership group, but that's what's going on now. This team has now set a standard, and they're living by it.
It's fun. I was just going to, while you were talking, going to bring up, and you said the expectation, because when you go in the room and you start to ask, or you just sit and chat, you know that the next guy over won't let you take a shift off.
Exactly.
There is a feeling of, I need to do this for my teammate more than there is, more than there's ever been, probably in like 7 years. It feels like everybody is on that. Claude Giroux is not going to let you take a shift off. Brady Tkachuk is going to say something to you. Thomas Chabot. These guys are all going, they've all said, we're tired of losing. And you can hear it in their voice, and you can see it now in their play. They will do whatever it takes to win.
So even like Brady's game last night, people were kind of during the game, Ottawa doesn't have it tonight. I watched Brady in the first period last night. He was really good. His puck protection, taking the puck to the net. There were certain plays too, like, this is what makes it easier for your defense to play, is how hard your forwards back pressure. Brady now is coming, doing it all year. He comes back deep into the zone, because here's how it works. Everybody thinks the center is the guy that plays down low with the D all the time. No, it's called F1. The first guy that's back checking has to go back and play with your D until you get out of your own zone. Brady's down low a lot, because sometimes he's first guy back on the back check. And that's, again, everyone's seeing that. Everyone's, look how hard he's back pressuring.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's playing a 200-foot game now. And when your captain's doing it, I wouldn't want to not do it, because I wouldn't want him yelling at me. So it's impressive to watch. Like you said, when you go in the dressing room and guys are seeing it, there's an expectation. These guys know what's expected now. And then you start policing yourself in the room if guys don't do it, you're going to hear about it from one of the guys.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just something I've noticed of late, that you can hear it in their voice. Quickly, wasn't great news yesterday, as we found out Josh Norris out for weeks. Although this couldn't come at a perfect time. A better time is, it looks like he'll miss this, obviously, this week. But then if it's weeks, he's got time before they play again against the Winnipeg Jets in a few weeks. So I hope he's back in the lineup. I watched that again. It just looks like it's a muscle issue, whether it's a groin or an oblique or something in that hip, just something in that effect. When you see him trying to leave the ice, he puts full weight down and hops down with a limp, if you will. So it doesn't look great. It doesn't look terrible. It just looks like it's a muscle issue.
Yeah. So much for the theory that
playing great.
So much for the theory that he got hit in the nuts.
Well, I kept trying to look, and I'm like,
I'm
like, I can't find to see anything, but anyway,
it's a weird one. What did they called it? Because they called it was it a mid-body injury? Yeah,
I just think
they said
I didn't hear him say mid-body, but
no, that's what it said. Norris is going to be out a couple of weeks with a mid-body injury.
Well, the quote yesterday only said he'd be out. There was no follow-up as to what it was.
Yeah, I thought I saw mid-body, but yeah, hopefully, what do we got? 3 games before the break, and the break comes and he gets back. Because, man, he's playing his best hockey of his career, and that's the theory. I'm including the 35-goal season. He's a way better player now. Way better.
I completely agree. Way better player. Yeah. The 35 goal. Was it 24 on the power? I'd have to go back and quickly look, but it was tied a team record, or set a team record for power play goals.
Yeah, obviously goals are important. 35 is great, but it was on a bad team. And a lot of those goals are scored in games. I love his complete game right now, Wally.
Yes.
I talked about it the other day, the face-offs, the penalty kill. He's the Sens again last night. Again, almost scored again shorthanded last night. Pinto, man, there's another guy that's
5-game point streak.
He's starting to pop. They use this term. A lot of scouts will use it. People that watch players, they say that he's starting to pop right now. It just means you're starting to play to your top level. He looks so confident out there right now, Pinto.
Yes.
And it's funny too, like the guys on the broadcast last night, Jody Shelley and Hickey,
Thomas Hickey.
They were really impressed with Pinto. Very impressed with Sanderson. But I love when you got guys like that on a broadcast because they haven't seen the players and they're picking out the little things in everybody's game, right? Jody Shelley talking about Thomas Chabot after the game. I thought that was one of Chabot's best games of the year. Defensively, Wally, the way he's battling for pucks right now, the way he's winning 50-50s, he's turning into just an all-around really good 200-foot two-way defenseman. Like his defensive game's come a long way.
You've played with these guys. I've always heard that it's important to get them to buy in. Everybody has that role, right? Yeah. And all these guys are stars offensively on their teams. To get them sometimes to buy into that grinder, penalty killer, defensive type role, not always easy. He's literally relishing doing this job right now.
Yeah. Well, you can make a lot of money in this league by getting a lot of points, and you don't win all the time. Then you get traded to another team, and you're on a team that's on its way up. That's probably not going to be a playoff team, but you'll get your points there too, and you'll go throughout your whole career. You'll make a lot of money. You'll get some points, but you won't win anything. And it'll be and you'll have a good life. But when you're done, you're like, shit, it really would have been nice to win. And the only way to win in this league is you got to play both ends of the ice. And everyone's capable of it. It's just a mindset you have to have. And it's hard. It's really hard.
So him and Josh are both playing, I'll even say Tim for that matter, all playing both ends of the ice right now. Like they're down the middle. Those guys are fighting tooth and nail defensively. Josh Norris playing arguably the best hockey of his career. I think it is. Shane Pinto is 6 points his last 5 games. The Sens are 8-0 this season when he scores a goal. He's playing great hockey. And I think Tim Stützle is, again, he doesn't always collect points, but you can see the compete in him defensively, especially a 200-foot game right now.
It's really tough, Wally, for coaches. That's why it's so tough to coach in today's NHL, because the way to get paid in the league, well, obviously winning, but only a couple teams could win all the time, right? So it's not sad, but it kind of contradicts itself, because guys will get paid based on points and performance, and when you go negotiate, it's all about points, but historically, and I know this, when you look at the league, the teams that win aren't all about getting points. It's about playing as a team. And you can go back to the Red Wings days when they had to totally change how they played. And that's why so many coaches get fired, because they end up going into war with the star players. Like, look what happened in Vancouver. Like they ended up trading a guy in JT Miller. That's just, it's never been tougher to coach these guys, Wally, because you get paid on points, but unfortunately winning, you gotta teach guys and sell guys that you gotta do more than just produce. You gotta play both ends of the ice.
All right, let's take care of some business. We got the dog days of the show here to get through. Got to explain to you as we get into picking tonight's game, as they set up for the Tampa Bay Lightning in back to back, but with a day off in between. It's very odd. Anyway,
weird, eh?
Yeah, it's interesting. It feels like we're back in COVID for a little bit here as they sit in the same
Don't
city.
say that. Don't say that word.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to trigger you. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, our good friends at BEI, helping to shape the Ottawa Valley with equipment, rentals, aggregate, topsoil sales, as well as custom crushing and screening. Hot Mix Paving. They can do it all for you. So when you're planning your next project, please consider BEI for all your aggregate supply needs. 613-432-1120 is where you can find their phone number, and also on the web at bonishurexcavating.com.
And of course, our presenting sponsor, Bet365, proud partner of Coming In Hot. Open an account today with Bet365. Bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION, NATION, all uppercase letters. Must be 19 years of age or older. Please play responsibly. Download the app today. And in today, you will see tons of NHL games. I think almost every East team is in action. And in fact, I think there's 14 NHL games going on. Boston, right? They're hosting Minnesota, which that's a tough game. Florida playing Washington. Interesting. What else is there? There's Montreal is playing in San Jose. Detroit's in Seattle. Philly's in Utah.
Yeah. Detroit 6 in a row. They've won.
Oh my God.
They won't go away.
No. Columbus is at Buffalo.
Yeah.
Come on,
Sabres.
Yeah. That's right.
Let's go Sabres. Let's go Kraken.
The Leafs in Calgary, as we will all cheer for a Calgary victory tonight.
Yeah, Calgary's been good.
Yeah, they're a surprise in the West for sure. I think, right?
Yeah.
After last year's disastrous year.
Yeah, this is going to get crazy. Like, think about all Ottawa has done to get to this point. 5 in a row. They're rolling. And all of a sudden, it just so happens you're playing the team and it's trying to catch you 2 games in a row. Like, what? It's set up perfectly for the ultimate reality television that is can't miss. It's crazy. Tampa's a weird. I know we don't have their goal differential up there, but they're like a plus 35 or plus 30 something goal differential. It's insane. Like, their numbers right now, like, they're out of the playoffs.
Plus 34.
And they're plus 34. I still think Detroit's going to miss. For as good as they've played and how much I love McClellan as a coach, I think they're peaking too early. I think Detroit's going to miss. Tampa's going to be a problem. So we'll see. Get the measuring stick out again, Wally, because here we go, back to back. I don't know the last time I've seen this. Yeah, I guess going back to the dark days of COVID.
I don't remember, even during, you and I have covered the league for like over 25 years. I know it's happened, but it's just, I don't remember the last time. Anyway, it is an interesting, by the way, the plus 34 is the second best in the Eastern Conference in goal differential. Detroit, the only team currently in the postseason with a negative, in a postseason spot with a negative goal differential. Just for a sec, I'm just going to allow you just for a sec to dream of a 3-game sweep here. You could possibly be going into the 4 Nations break as the top team in the Atlantic Division.
So you're saying they're going to win 8 in a row heading into the 4 Nations break. Imagine that. Wow. Size up the rings. Size up the rings. Start coordinating the route for the parade. Okay, we're going to go in front of the Parliaments. Are we going down Elgin? We're definitely avoiding the market because it's a friggin' shit show down there. Thanks very much, Nightmare.
This is the wrong podcast. But the last time Ottawa won 7 in a row was back in the Hamburglar run in 2015. The last time they won 8 in a row, 2010.
Is that the last time?
That is
2010. Refresh my memory. What happened in 2010? Obviously a playoff team. You're rolling off 8 in a row, right?
I'm not actually. I'd have to hang on, Yorkie.
Well,
I just want to see what
throwing numbers
at the end or the beginning of the year, though. I know, but it was early this morning. I was trying to get stuff done. I didn't think you would. Why do I even try sometimes?
8 in a row is crazy. But can they do it? Can they roll off this? Like, it's a lot to ask right now. You're playing. This is a tough road swing right now. Like I said, one like playing Tampa back to back.
January to February, they won 8 in a row. They finished that year at 44, 32, and 6.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, would you bear with me? They lost. Oh, yeah. They lost in 6 games to Pittsburgh.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. So they ended up making the playoffs that year. So yeah, you'd have to think you're rolling off 8 in a row. You're making the playoffs most likely.
I'm not mistaken. Remember after they beat Pittsburgh the first time, they put up the big picture, lower gate 3 of shaking hands with a sullen Sidney Crosby, and it infuriated the Penguins.
Yes, I remember that. Bulletin board material.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. No, that's not good. You don't want to wake Sid up. That was prime Sid back then. Like he was a young man.
And that's Carl. He had Carlson that year. Anyway,
Sid's looking old now, on the Four Nations commercial.
Yes.
Hey,
he's like Papa Sid.
He's Papa Sid. yeah, he's looking old.
All right, so back to our picking the game. Quickly, the Bet365 board, Jake. As we see tonight, here is the parlay. Drake Batherson scores a goal. Thomas Chabot under 1.5 shots. So I'm just going to say he's going to get 1 shot on goal tonight. And Tim Stützle over. So he gets 1 point, 0.5, over 0.5 points. So Tim Stützle a point, Drake Batherson a goal, Thomas Chabot under 2 shots or under 1 shot or under 1.5 shots. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yes.
Now,
very exciting.
Let's go to the challenge. Sorry, I've renamed the Challenge Cup board. Yorkie.
Better have a Gert. Where's Gertie's? Oh, Gert, there she. Wally's out. Come on, you gotta pick. I love how you strain and you mull.
No, I'm out. Gertie is now taken over. She is, but however, she is saddled with the sins of the previous organization, so she will have to start as she started at 16 and 17. So we're now at 500. We're still a team, I guess.
You gotta get in there with Gertie. You're like, come on, I can't compete against 2 dogs for God's sake. What kind of contest is this?
I will let
dog bowl.
I will let you pick last. First, you know what? We'll even go. We'll start with Gertie, who's behind the 8 ball starting out. So, Gertie, let's Gertie's pick.
Big debut for you yesterday. Big win as the Sens won 5 in a row. Who do you pick tonight? Do the Sens continue their winning streak, or are they shut down by the Tampa Bay Lightning? Linus Ullmark in his return, Gertie. Who are you going to pick? Go ahead.
Look at those perfect logos, Wally. Gertie's.
Make the call.
Boy.
Go ahead.
Very stoic.
Let's go. Who do you pick to win tonight's big game?
She lost to Tampa. Gertie.
Wow.
Big believer in load management.
You might be in trouble with some fans. Okay.
Okay. So Gertie takes Tampa. Yorkie. The show is now going to become 2 hours long. Let's go to Charlie.
Are we really okay?
All right, Charlie. Time to get to work. The smartest dog in hockey. People want to know Ottawa coming off another big win, 5 in a row, but it's back-to-back. They're in Tampa tonight to face the Lightning. So, who are you taking in tonight's game? Do you have the Ottawa Senators or the Tampa Bay Lightning? Charlie?
You've just bailed on the arts and crafts.
Who's it going to be? And once again, Charlie says the Sens are going to keep on rolling.
Okay.
Oh, she does. Well, she does not care about load management. Back to back. I'm a little surprised with that call. Like, this is a quick turnaround. Tampa at home. Wow. Charlie putting it all out there.
Charlie's just on pure adrenaline and emotion.
Okay. I can't believe you can't bail. I think we add Gertie as a 4th pick.
No, because in the records are no. I'm out. I'm not picking anymore because all I try to do is just pick against you, and you just pick the Sens. And right now they can't lose, so I'm just getting crushed.
It's crazy too. Like Norris is out, they still win.
Jensen, Ullmark.
A lot of key guys out of the lineup right now. You know, a guy we haven't even talked about in today's show is David Perron.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's starting to. I know he scored. He bounced it off the guy's head, but making some good plays, playing the system like playing hard, making a difference. That's like me. I said this last night to somebody where it's going back and forth on Twitter. It's kind of like making a trade without making a trade because you don't have to give anything up. He's just back in the lineup. And he's only going to get better, Wally, because he's getting into. I just wish for him, and I'm sure he's the same, that the break wasn't coming right now. The last thing he needs is 2 weeks off. He needs to keep playing.
Yes. So
yeah,
we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, that's.
But
it's an interesting one. Like under normal circumstances, if Ottawa was just a 500 hockey team tonight, who are you going to pick?
In back-to-backs. Ullmark's. See, there's so many different. Like this to me is a really tough game to pick because Ullmark hasn't played in a long time. Tampa's a good hockey team. They've got Vasilevsky, who's still one of the best. They've got great players. But I just
do you care about some stats?
Throw some. Yeah, stats are good. They help paint a little bit of the picture. What do you got for me?
The Sens have won 3 straight against Tampa and 6 of the last 7. Tampa 7-9-2 overall in their last 18 games, or its last 18 games. 9-3-1, however, in the last 13 at home.
So here's the thing with Tampa. They're still uber talented. I don't think Braden Point gets enough love in the NHL. He is such a good player. But here's the difference when I look at both teams. Every single person right now on the Ottawa Senators is bought in, right? I talked about non-negotiables.
Yeah.
For as good as Kucherov is, and McDavid's the most talented guy in the league, but he's right there. Like he is so good. But he doesn't always play a 200-foot game. He'll sometimes not back check. He'll sometimes not forecheck. He'll sometimes not try. But he's that good, right? He'll make it up with a one-timer clapper on the point or through the seam, and he'll do things that other guys can't do. But for that, I just think Ottawa's so bought in right now. My only concern is how is Ullmark going to play after missing that many games? So I'm hoping with having our former goalie on, Carter Hutton, talking about sometimes it's good you get recharged. I'm gonna take the Sens, Wally. I love how this team's playing right now. Like non-negotiables. David Perron's starting to play well. Shane Pinto's playing some of the best hockey of his career. Little Matthew Heimar's buzzing around out there. I thought Zach Ostapchuk was really good last night. So.
There's no passengers at the moment that I know I can see.
Yeah, name a passenger.
Right. So here's what I'm out yesterday, and people now want to talk more Sens hockey than ever before. Right. In the past, it'd be like, oh yeah, or I'll talk to you next year or whatever. Now they're like asking questions and all that stuff. So we have conversations. Normally you're like, yeah, I can't believe that guy, or like to move that guy or trade that guy. They're struggling now to find the holes in it. Right. They're like, yeah, like everybody's playing really well. I like how this team looks. I like what they've done. So it is interesting to watch. There is no one that you can say at the moment looks like a passenger.
Love how the D's playing right now. Getting saves. I think Amadio is getting back into the swing of things again. He's so good on the boards. Pinto. I thought Gaudette was really strong last night. Like, I know he got a goal, but when I watch players, it's more about how many battles are you winning along the boards? How many 50-50s are you coming out on the good side of? How hard are you back checking? It's the little things, right? And that's how Travis Green coaches. It's non-negotiables, little things. Gaudette was doing all those little things last night. So happy with him. Boy, Ridley Gregg was good last night too. But Perron's a guy right now. If he can keep doing what he's doing and add to that, he's going to be very important with Norris out of the lineup here in this little stretch. And for him, great opportunity, right? great opportunity to start feeling good about your game again. So maybe we get him back on there. We got to get him back on the show again. He's so good. Great talker.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. Let's hope, just selfishly, there is an empty net goal to be scored by Ridley Gregg tonight to add to the excitement, but it should be a fun game. We will be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. To discuss this game and get you set for the next Tampa game, and to see which dog is top dog. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Take care, people.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.